What's up, everyone, including Carly? How are you all?
What's up?
It's a brand new day, brand new podcast recording, and brand new life. Start of the first day of the rest of your life, as they say in all the corny movies. How are you? How are things going? What's going on?
Hi. I don't even know how to answer that question. I appreciate our little pre-podcast chat that helped kind of recenter me. I've had a really annoying kind of day. Actually, it may be longer than a day. And it's interesting because it's funny to kind of watch myself be annoyed, because I know it's I don't know. It's like being outside of yourself, watching yourself be annoyed. I can't really explain it, but it's entertaining and frustrating. And I've been annoyed for most of the day. And it's brought up a lot of interesting kind of thoughts about the nature of manifesting and the idea of being in flow or being in the upper room and lots of things. So I know that it's, as they say, productive, but I haven't been having a super fun time with it. So
interesting. So you said it's brought up a lot of thoughts around these things. What's something that it's making you think about or consider, or what's going on there?
Well, okay, so I feel like I used to think when it came to being in flow, let's talk about that. What I used to think that meant was that you then are always in a good mood and you're always coming from this inspired space and it's lovely and delightful and doo-doo-doo, just kind of making
jumping
your way
from
through
cloud
your
to
day.
cloud.
Yeah, right? Rainbows shooting out your ass,
Yes. No, you might need to consult a physician if that's what's happening.
Well, I tried to go to the doctor. And I get there because I told you, I think last time we talked about this, that maybe we didn't talk about it online. I was supposed to get my first ever mammogram today because I'm 40 and that's what you do. And so I show up for the appointment and apparently they canceled the department on Thursday and didn't bother to tell anybody. So they just let me show up for my appointment today. And I was like, seriously? Why would you not notify people? And the lady's like, well, we called you. I'm like, did you leave a message? And she's like, no, we don't like to leave messages. And I'm like,
what?
What?
Doctor's office is the only people who should and need to be leaving messages.
What? Even just if you don't want to tell anybody my mammogram was canceled, just be like, hey, you need to call us and we have important information. Just leave a fucking message. Right?
Call us back. Because no one picks up unidentified numbers anymore. It could be anyone, and most likely robocallers.
Yeah, I do from this area code because I have all the other stuff going on, but I couldn't because I was working with someone. So I don't know. So then as I'm asking the lady, what do you mean you didn't let me know? The program director walked by and I was a good sport about it all. I was frustrated and also there was a lot of humor with it. I told the guy he looked like a high school teacher because he totally did. But, and then he was like, I actually used to teach high school. And I was like, that makes sense. But, so within the frustration, there was still I wasn't just I don't know, I was annoyed, but not an asshole. So, but, it's a problem with the system, and it's military healthcare. And so he's like, well, the one thing you can do is fill out this form. And I'm like, okay. So I fill out the form for the feedback and also hey, you guys should let people know about this. So, but anyway, so I feel and it's the same thing with the water damage and totaling the car and everything else. But I'm like, do I really still need to keep doing this? Honestly, I got to the point today where I'm like, what the fuck? Can I just get a break here? Why does everything feel like it's 1,000 steps or so many hurdles and nothing is easy? Because, for a long time I felt like things were easy. So but I think that there's this opportunity to not fall into the idea of what am I doing wrong? Because I don't think I'm actually doing anything wrong, right? I think I'm for the most part, really kind of there is that wobble there sometimes, but for the most part, really holding space amidst what feels like a tornado, So that's what I mean when I'm talking about it challenging my ideas of like being in flow and manifestation. Because, you know, I was on a call earlier today and they're like, I manifested this. And I saw somebody like posted something else like, I manifested this. And I'm like, but does that even mean what we think it means? Because like now I just don't think so. And I don't know. I really, honestly, I know I'm rambling at this point, but really,
That's what
honestly,
we're
at this
here for.
point, well, that's a good thing. But it feels like it's just leading me to this place of a deeper surrender. That's what it is, right? Like getting to the point, and I remember my teacher Diane talking about this a lot too, is like, you know, people get to these points, and I've been to this point with really like heavy stuff in my life before, where you get to the point where you're like, you know what, I can't do this. I can't do this alone. You lift the eyes upward, you move into prayer, and you go into the place where you're like, God help me. And, you know, it's taking, oh, that's what it is. Okay. I have reserved that for when it's really bad or really hard, or it's like fucking life and death, dire circumstances. And now we're translating that into everyday life. Because none of this stuff is actually like that big of a problem. It's just like been adding up and it's annoying. You know? But it's interesting because energetically it's kind of leading to the same place. So it's less 2x4 therapy and more annoyance therapy, where it's I am to the point, and I was on the way home from the stupid non-mammogram today, where I was like, you know what? I need help. I need a break. God help me. Okay.
You know,
well,
I was
thanks.
honestly just about to ask you, have you asked Spirit to help you with these things? Like,
yeah, just today.
that?
Well, you know, it's interesting because I feel like I pretty consistently ask for help, but I don't think I've surrendered like all of these. I don't think I've surrendered my entire life. You know, I've surrendered my work. That's like that actually may be the one place that I actually have surrendered. Oh, gross. I hate that for me. That's what it is. That's like the one thing that I've surrendered. It's, and I have not surrendered my life. All right. Well, I did today.
Well, look how much breakthrough we've had in less than 10 minutes of the podcast.
Podcast done. See you guys next time.
Say anything. You just unraveled the code yourself, and
thanks. I really needed that. I appreciate that. That's better. Everybody take a big deep breath, especially in case you haven't today.
you know, it's funny.
So,
oh no, sorry. Please go on.
No, I was going to say, so that's what's going on. Please.
I was just going to say, you know, we had this session, energetic session, me and you, and it was interesting because I didn't necessarily feel like I came with specific stuff, but we ended up going to specific places and doing things. And you said something at the end which like you never said before, and I think we both felt a little like strange about it, which was like, I don't know what it was, but you're not going to be the same after this today.
Oh, that's right. I did say that. Yeah, because something did shift. I still don't know what it was. Do you?
I don't know what it was either, but it was right, at least so far. And, you know, we just kind of had a little bit of this discussion before we got on screen, but, you know, I felt like I now understand at a much more practical and experiential level what it means to move out of, you know, the personality self and out of desire. And I think like even a Buddhist sense of desire, or egoic sense of desire, and moving more toward this place of alignment to what spirit holds for you, and knowing that that is what's best, but not for you, because the you that you think you are doesn't exist, but but what's best for, I don't know, you still you
soul.
Yeah.
What's best for soul, right?
Yes, but even beyond that, and the guys have talked about this, and I've always not quite understood it, or I guess understood it rudimentary ways in which they're like, when you move to alignment to the monad and you live in the upper room, soul still has its requirements from learning, but it learns in very different ways. And the learning I'm starting to experience is not like, okay, something goes wrong, I make a mistake, or I like pine about it or get angry, and then I start, maybe trudging a little bit or go down, and then like have to realize what it was and then go back up and then like do the whole cycle again, right? It's more of everything becomes a noticing, like every thought that takes me from the listening to just monad and living from spirit becomes the lesson. And the lesson is just simply let that go, return to the divine. Like it's just as simple as that every single time. And it's just a real life movement. And I think part of what the shift was, it's like this idea of personality doesn't and can't be the king of the small kingdom anymore. And you actually don't want it to be.
Yeah.
And what's waiting for you in a higher alignment is so much more than you could imagine. And the game has shifted from, trying to like tug a war with the divine of what I want and what it wants, and like trying to like, well, I want this today, and you want this today, and like I'm gonna tug, and like if you're gonna make
like
me
my
like
day?
get annoyed. But like, all of our days, all the time. And this tug of war game to this like removal slowly of the idea of what I should want, and more of just trying to be in receptivity and quiet to hearing what the divine needs of me, or how I can move in service to that. And the feeling of that and the living through that is a totally different feeling of being, in like a really great way, and a really hard to describe way. And I feel like I'm just at the first baby steps of that, but it's already really interesting.
Yeah, I very much feel what you're talking about, because I certainly feel like, and that's actually one of the really interesting things about these experiences that I've been having over the last several months, is it, I did at a certain point, I think I kind of came to the same place where you have come, and then it became, it's the integration. Like I'm kind of in the integration phase of that, I think. Yes. Okay. So that's interesting, but I very much appreciate what you're talking about. And I think one of the other things that happens from that space is that the noticing of when you aren't listening, and then for me, I think hence the frustration, because it's less about the thing and it's more about my reaction to the thing. But there's still space to soften the reaction to the thing. Because it's, it's at the end of the day, it's not that big of a deal. None of it is, and I can be an appreciation of, from the level of my personality body, this felt like I wasted 2 hours of time today. And at the level of soul, I interacted with this woman who's probably had a bunch of frustrated people for the last 2 days come in and maybe not be as nice. And I had the opportunity. He just happened to walk by, the program director. I happened to have an opportunity to talk to him and interact with him too. Maybe that's what I needed to do today. And from the soul level, like, you can appreciate that. From the personality body, a little less so. But I do think with that, the personality body is lifting to be more in alignment with soul. And then I think as we turn the eyes upward and start more consistently living from the soul place, then that makes space to align with monad. And then even the soul, I think, aligns more with monad, and then we're more monad directed than even soul directed. I think we kind of talked about that during your session too.
Yeah, absolutely. That was one of the things we noted, how, there's the three levels, right? Like, in a sense, the personality self, and then, soul, and then monad. And they each have, or at least the first two have, various levels of filter, where the personality self has all these filters on it based on, societal norms, based on how you were raised, based on personality, based on, your trauma. And then there's the soul level, which doesn't hold most of that, but does have some tint to the lens when it comes to traumas from your life, traumas from past lives, perspective, some level of individuality perspective. And not all of that is necessarily bad, but there is a lens to that. And then there's the third level, which is monad, or Christ consciousness, or whatever you'd like to call it, source. And source is pure consciousness, and it has available to it, like, all knowing. Yeah, there you go. Get it all out. Get it all out.
Sorry, I choked my spit.
Oh, God.
All right. Oh, but I didn't die.
That's good. That would be quite a way to end the podcast.
I mean,
would you want me to go on without you, or would you just want me to call
probably.
it quits? Really?
I mean, you could go on without me. It wouldn't be the same.
Yeah, it wouldn't be. It would kind of suck. I wouldn't want to do it, honestly. Just talk for an hour straight. I couldn't do that. But, the source has no individual tint or perspective, and has just this pure light and this pure consciousness and pure realization. And when the personality self is aligned to soul, and then soul aligns to monad or source, that's when you get the highest level of knowing. And your personality self might have no context for what you receive, right? It might be pissed off by, like, what you think you're doing that day, because you wanted to go get ice cream, and then all of a sudden you have to, drive 2 hours to the naval base or whatever, right? But for monad, it has such a incredibly encompassing picture of all of it that, you just have to move to the level of faith and trust and knowing, and you start to feel, okay, I know when I'm in alignment. And the personality style, again, like, lets go of the ideas of what it should be doing, what it should be getting, where it should be getting it, yada, yada, yada. And so there are those levels, and finally the alignment to the highest level, to the monad, is the one, we're kind of striving for. Striving is maybe not the best word, but, moving toward.
Yeah. Lifting into.
So
what I'm hearing, and yeah, like that it all tracks. I'm like, yes. That's exactly the thing. And it's funny because what I'm hearing along with this is, like, I am exactly in the right place at the right time, and I'm doing the things, and I'm not wobbling as much as I thought I was, right? Because, yeah.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
And I think the idea of wobbling comes from personality self. One thing I noticed too, oh my God, my cat and my dog are so close to each other, and they haven't fought yet.
Are they being nice?
Beautiful. They're not being mean, and that's as much as I can ask for.
That's a step.
Yeah. But I think what I learned listening to the last intensive from Paul that I haven't gotten before is, like, there is no wobbling, because anything you need to learn, like, if, let's say you go back down, right? You take a step down and you get really pissed about something and you're acting at a low vibration, like, you're actually not doing anything imperfect, because that means that there's something there that you need to lift, or something you need to let go of, or something you need to work on. And so, like, that's the perfect lesson for you. You're not doing wrong. You're not doing the sin, right? Like
Yeah.
I used to think I was like, oh shit, I'm not in the high alignment today. It's like, no, this is the perfect lesson for you to be doing, because this
Yeah.
is like you need to learn this. You can't bypass it. Like you can't just say, oh, I'd like to be perfect now, and then, never do any
Yeah.
of the old stuff again. Like this is how our learning works, is through the lifting, and whenever we make the thought back down, the step back down, the action back down, that's when we know, okay, this is the perfect opportunity for like me to learn through. And when we shift our perspective in, I did something bad where I'm wrong for going back down, to, oh shit, there's something for me to lift. What a great opportunity. Then it becomes so much easier. And then, the learning happens in a higher way as well, and an easier way, because you don't have to take it to step like 8, which is like you're pissed off and throwing ice cream everywhere. It's like at step 2 you stop, which is just like the thoughts or the emotions that override or whatever. Also,
Absolutely.
It's got a little barky there, but yeah,
That's okay. Mine do it all the time. No, but I definitely appreciate that, and I feel like that whole idea of sinning, or the judgment around I did something wrong or bad, or it should be this way. Like, I feel like, and I come to this realization like occasionally, especially over the last several months, is like, okay, this is not only an opportunity to attend to the actual response to the thing that's causing the frustration, but it's also an opportunity to be in the noticing of the quality is probably not the right word, but of the recognition of the emotion of the thing, right? And so it's not only an opportunity to work on whatever the actual like opportunity or lesson is, but it's also an opportunity to look at our judgment and expectation, which I think come up big time for us, especially as we're learning how to navigate outside of time and space, and learning how to be in the upper room and like what that actually means, So it is like a lovely opportunity, all of it, at the end of the day, even when the personality body has ideas about it.
yeah. And
so,
the guide said something really beautiful in the lecture yesterday, which was, if you went back and like inhabited the body and the energetic field of yourself 5 years ago, you would feel like you were sludging through garbage. Like it would be an incredibly different experience for you all.
Yeah.
And often you don't realize how far you've come and how much you've changed. And I think that's also like a really powerful teaching to remember for perspective of like, I had this shitty day, shitty week, even shitty month. And like, in terms of, whatever that means to you. And that's totally fine. And that's a part of the learning and the moving forward. And I know I'm not going to be the same as how I feel now in 3 months, or even in a month or whatever. Like it's all the stepping stones to moving forward, and you don't even have to carry the idea of, this has been a shitty blank, or this has been a,
we get to let it go, let it be free. No, and I think that's important too, is, because then and I was thinking about this earlier today when I was in the height of being frustrated. I was like, okay, because I feel like things are actually really simple. There's this current of love and abundance, and there's this current of fear and separation. And it's either love/abundance, or it's fear/separation. And I knew that I was very clearly in the fear/separation flow of things, because you can't be in both flows at one time. And it was interesting because I was entertained, well, also it was complicated, right? Like I was entertained at my annoyance. With the full recognition of, hey, you're not in the flow of love and abundance. So what are you going to do? Are you going to stay in this flow of not love and abundance, or are you going to hop back over? And I decided to hop back over, you know. I've been just kind of like bringing the momentum along with it. But I feel like that's the dance, right? And it's a beautiful dance to dance. And the music has shifted, and we are adjusting the dance steps to the new music. And go team. So,
absolutely.
anyway. Yeah. So what's up with you? How's it going? How are you?
How's it going? I'm good, honestly. Like I said, been feeling different since that session, which was really cool, and I really appreciate your help with that.
Yeah.
What else do I have going on? Honestly, not much. You know,
I love that for you.
just like work's been busy, and you know, for me, work recently has been a opportunity because, you know, as you know, but the listeners don't know, I work for myself and in finance, and basically my performance is how I do, right? Like that's how I make my money. It's not a salary position or anything like that. And so there's a certain level of like expectation I put on myself to like perform or to opportunize what comes. And this has been a very good time recently, and I've felt you know, pressure is I guess the word, to like opportunize on everything and to do as well as I can as, you know, as things are going well. And so, you know, I've slowly been trying to shift away from that sense of being. And, you know, I asked Paul about this and he gave me a really good answer, and move toward a space of receptivity and acting from intuition and knowing. And it's interesting because a lot of it comes down to like attachment to ideas around, you know, how much I should have, or what it means to make what I think I need to make, or, you know, how the personality self has like a truncated timeline with everything where it's like, I want this and I need it now, otherwise it's never going to happen, right? Which is silly. And yet when you move to a place of patience and receptivity, it's a different way to act upon things, and it's a learning about the divine in something like money or like, you know, career success, where traditionally I don't think about it there, right? Like,
Right.
we think money is the root of all evil, and I have personal opinions about like what it means to hoard money or have too much money, and I don't want to do that, and I also don't think I ever would. But at the same time, like, is interesting trying to recontextualize my idea of finances, of wealth, of doing well, prosperity, making money, but also in alignment and knowing it as another expression of source, and moving to the place where it's not about what I want in terms of money, right? Because the personality self will kind of just always want more. It won't be satiated. Like, it's just not how it operates, because it is operating from fear. And moving to the place of alignment in which I want what is best for me and help me achieve that. And so it's been super interesting.
Nice. Yeah, that's it's isn't it funny how you can start to see the divine in all of the places where we didn't see it before, you know? I love that for you. And you know, I think I was taught, I remember growing up, like I grew up super poor, and I remember being taught that money was the root of all evil, which actually isn't even like the full, it's for something about for want of money, something, you know? But, you know, like those distortions and the way that it's kind of like programmed into us from small children, you know, and I was always taught that you have to work really hard to make any money. You have to work really hard to get by, and it's going to be really hard for you to bring in money. So that's been interesting, kind of shifting that in my adulthood. And I think it's cool how you are focusing on shifting into that space of allowance. And I feel like, you know, earlier when we were talking about like the one thing that I have surrendered is my work. And that was one of the things that I've surrendered in my work is how clients arrive or who they are or how I make enough money to feed myself and pay my bills and do my own personal work, you know? And it's interesting because it feels like once I did surrender all of that, there was this like delightful influx of clients, and they're wonderful and I love to work with them, and you know, they refer other people, and I don't know where they come from, but they show up and it's cool, you know. And it's fun to kind of have that in one area of life, because then it makes it easier to have compassion for the areas where you don't have it, and also like model the behavior that goes along with being in that flow state.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, it's funny, like, I think societal relationship with money, where it is so fear-based, where it's like money, again, like, is the root of all evil, or is where you've, you know, has this aspect of evil. And yet money is also like something that you need to get all of and like hoard and get as much as possible. And, you know, this duality and that works kind of simultaneously. And it is interesting, you know, I think that's incredible that you are working from that space. And I think it's just interesting at times when I think the feeling around me for it now is working through this idea of like, I'm still the one who has to like take action, and I know things can go like super bad, super good, like almost on a dime. And so how do I trust and have the faith that any action will come from divine action and inspired action, and that will, you know, be told to me as needed, I will act upon as needed, and will be for like my highest and best financially as needed, you know. It's an interesting, yeah.
It almost feels like a paradox. Like everything to me right now feels so paradoxical. I don't know, is that a real word? I don't know, whatever. Yeah. If it's not, it is now. But that's really like the vibe that I've been getting. Like, this is true and so is this. And this is true and so is this. And this and this. And it feels like this is part of this, like, it seems like a tsunami now. This tsunami of energy that's coming in around, I don't know. Isn't there also like a solar eclipse happening in like April or something? I don't know. I forgot about that until the other day, but I don't know. I feel like there's this like massive wave of energy, and I think we've talked about this before, coming in around the vernal equinox or the first part of April. And all of these kind of paradoxical things feel like they're part of it. And, you know, I think like another thing, like going back into the whole finance thing is like, why do we, I mean, you know, on one hand, we kind of want to break the system into something that works. And on the other hand, we're still kind of navigating in this plane where we are. And we do have things that require money, which is just another form of energy. Like everything is energy, and that includes money. And I don't know, it still blows my mind.
Yeah.
Which I think is part of the point, right? Like, I don't think the mind is really supposed to understand it all. I think it's supposed to be understood from the kind of higher plane, and there it becomes this embodiment of knowing instead, versus trying to think through it. I don't know.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's well said. And I think some of the challenge is this idea that if there's one thing the personality self should do, it's provide safety in terms of like the physical needs, right? Like house, food, you know, housing, food, whatever, water. And so that idea is rooted in money for me in a way, because that is how, you know, those needs manifest financially. That's how they come about. And so it's been an interesting movement to, you know, finally it is the movement back to knowing a source as the provider, even when it comes to the physical, right? When it comes
Absolutely.
to housing, when it comes to water, when it comes to whatever resources you need to work from the highest and best. And then being able to give up the personality self idea of, well, I should just be a bajillionaire because that's what I want, you know?
Right.
And saying, no, I want what's highest and best for me, and however that manifests financially, right?
Yeah, because maybe you'd be like a super irresponsible bajillionaire, you know?
Or maybe, you know, that leads you to, you know, not doing any of the things you're supposed to do, or meeting the people you're supposed to meet, or going, you know, maybe you just lose all motivation. It's funny because I am in a field where I am working with young people, and people of all ages really, but young people especially, and some of them make way more money than they ever thought they would, way earlier than they ever thought they would, and they lose any sense of perspective on what money means, on how to live their life, on purpose. And some of these people fall into like really strong depression despite, you know, having what, you know, everyone says you should have and want, and that's going to make you happy. And, you know, not to say that I think we would do that if it happened, but it is to say that, you know, not everything, the personality self has ideas on what's the best thing it should have and how it should have it. And yet, you know, we can get as many lessons from being a bajillionaire as we can from being poor, and we can be just as challenged personally. And finally, like, what I want is not to be a bajillionaire in this life. It's to embody the highest alignment I can, and to serve. And that's what I want for my life. And I know no matter how much money I make, I'm going to pass on, and my soul's going to keep going. And I want soul, all of it, to be of the highest alignment, and to do what I can for betterment. Because at the end of the day, that's what makes me happy, being in the high alignment, helping others in whatever ways I can. And, you know, money is the resource that will help me in whatever way it ends up needing to, right?
Yeah. It's, it goes back to, you know, all this ties together really nicely, what we've been talking about this whole time. It goes back to trusting the higher self, surrendering the personality body, and being an allowance for whatever it is that comes up for you, in appreciation that, this is working out for me, whether I like it or not. All right.
Yeah, and I think then especially you stop worrying about, like, do I like this, or is this what I want? And you start really getting what you need and realizing how much better that feels than anything you think you want. And you, like you said, the love starts flowing in more and more, and it makes it easier to stay there and express the love in return. And so it's, again, not like the tug of war of like back and forth. Oh, is this the good day? Is this the bad day? Am I getting what I want? Am I not getting what I want? And more of moving to receptivity of the love in all the ways that shows up, and then expressing that right back, you know, however you need to in the moment. And it just becomes this, like, again, the dance, right? But a beautiful one, and one where the mind doesn't really need to go what's going on, but you can feel what's going on, and you can feel how powerful it is in a way.
Yeah. You know, and it's funny, the image of the dancing. I remember, like, I don't know, I think when I was in Girl Scouts, like 100 years ago, when I was growing up, they taught us all these different, like, dances. And you had to, like, think about the dance steps, and you had to, like, count out and time it and make sure you were doing, because we were learning like the foxtrot and shit that, like, I can tell you I have not done since then, right?
You're not foxtrotting up and down the dance floor?
Not foxtrotting up and down the dance floor. No, but it's, and you know, it's interesting because years later, then my teacher also kind of equated the energy work to the same kind of thing. Is like, you learn the dance steps, and it's a very mental process, right? Like, you have to pay attention to the step, you count the, you know, you sync it up to the blah 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 blah. you do your practicing with it, and then eventually it allows, you get into a space where it allows the brain or the thinking mind to relax and just kind of allows, we'll call it spirit, to take over, right? Because you trust that there's a knowing of the dance steps and you find yourself just led along the floor. And then eventually you end up like Gene Kelly Dancing in the Rain, where like you can improvise the whole thing because you have a basic idea of, that was like a really like way back reference.
I'm familiar.
Okay, good. But you know, you have this like basic appreciation for the principles of dance, and you're able to take it and move with it and just feel the inspiration of it. And I think a lot of even like what we've been talking about is the same kind of way. And you know, sometimes it's, hey, you know what, I'm still learning these dance steps for this new dance that I'm learning. And in a moment of clarity earlier, I had an appreciation for that, of like, oh, you know what, like I actually am not sliding down into the out of the upper room or whatever. I'm just learning how to attend to things from a higher octave. And so I'm essentially just learning the new dance steps for this dance that I haven't quite mastered yet. And that's okay, because I'm not going to give myself a hard time for not knowing the dance steps yet. I'm still learning. So why would I give myself a hard time for getting frustrated for something? Huh. That's a good reframe. Thanks.
I like it. All right, you want to pull some cards?
Yeah, let's pull some cards.
I'm going to use a different one today.
Are you? I only have the one deck. Everything else is...
Using Light Worker Oracle. Whoa.
Ooh, I think I have that one.
Whoa.
Or I gave it away to somebody.
Done messed up. No,
I don't know. I give away decks like all the time.
That's nice.
I'm using my Old Faithful because the rest of them are trapped in my office. Which one day, soonish, I'll be able to get back into. I'm excited. You guys are going to notice, like, for those of you who do the video, the background of my office.
Yeah, it's going to be cool.
Super excited.
Do you
And
have
I'm
a
moving
question?
my desk. I don't know, do we? I mean, with all this like surrendering of the personality body, aren't questions like from the personality body level?
I'm okay with no question.
I actually don't have a question either, so maybe just call in, I don't know, support. What do we need for support?
Yeah.
Unless you think of something better. Okay. Do we have any idea who drew first last time? We don't really care.
I did for you.
Okay.
Oh, or maybe you did for me. No, I did for
No,
you
I
last time
think
first.
you did for me. Okay,
Yeah.
so then
So
I
you
draw
go
for you?
first. No,
Okay.
you draw for you this time.
I'll draw for me.
You draw for
Okay.
you.
All right. What do I need? No, actually, it's more like, God help me. And then I'm just going to pull a card, yeah? All right, let's see what we get. Man, I'm still like struggling from choking on my spit earlier.
Oh my god.
Oh, jeez. Which I'm gonna guess you're gonna edit out the actual choking part.
I'm not. I'm sorry.
I think that's okay.
It's too much work.
It sounds like a lot of work. Suddenly my windpipe just wasn't where it was supposed to be. Okay. God help me. Oh, I love this. The Raven, which is magic, coincidence, and synchronistic events. This to me always feels like a reminder of like, hey girlfriend, no matter what's going on, you are on the right path. And keep your eyes open for the magic. Like the magic is in like all of the little things and all of the little spaces in betweens and all the places where you don't necessarily expect it. So just be open to seeing it everywhere. And also keep an eye out for synchronistic events. You know, like for me, when I hear something like 2 times in a relatively short period of time, I'm like, oh, that's for me. Or, you know, those moments of knowing, those spots of finding yourself in perfect flow and harmony. And I appreciate this because I haven't been feeling like I was in flow. But I think that this is less about being in or out of flow and more of recognizing that flow isn't what I thought it was. I had expectations of what it meant to be in flow, and those were inaccurate. So this is an opportunity to refine that. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Raven. I always like the Raven too, because it's kind of like, I don't know, it seems dark. And I'm a Scorpio, so I think that's why, right? It seems dark, but it's actually fucking awesome. Just like a Scorpio.
I like ravens. They're really smart animals too. Really smart birds.
Okay.
They're like ravens and crows, I think, can like remember people from like years ago.
Oh, that's wild.
Like, stuff like that,
Huh.
yeah.
Huh, interesting. Okay, so when the raven appears, it's a sign of magic where coincidence and divine synchronicity bring surprising elements together. The raven reminds you that on the path to wholeness, the magic of Avalon appears and all things become possible. Ask the raven to help you be aware of synchronicity in your life and to see how the god goddess works anonymously on your path. If you feel hopeless or lost, you may need reminding that this kind of magic occurs in your daily life. Even if you can't see it, trust it to bring joy, understanding, and fulfillment to your life, no matter what the present circumstances appear to be. Remember, the raven says, believe in magic and you cannot help but see it. Magic lives within the belief itself. Expect the unexpected and prepare to be amazed.
I love
Okay.
that.
I am prepared to be amazed.
And you know what it makes me think of? You know, again, the recent intensive, the guides talked about the power of wonder. And I think it is just such a powerful state of being. And what was I watching the other day? I was watching something and it just reminded me how like incredible it was to be in the state of wonder as a kid. And how much like magic was there and how much power was there. And I think it really is a really high alignment, and you converse with God in a way when you're in wonder. And you know, I think that card was a good reminder for me too of embracing that state and, you know, allowing some of these ways of being, ways of seeing, ways of being in imagination to return, and, you know, letting go of some of the ideas of the adulthood and the responsibilities and the nonsense that, you know, kind of overtakes it, and the loss of magic, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, and thanks for saying that too about like the wonderment, because that feels like something that in general I've had a pretty good I've done a pretty good job of holding on to the wonderment and seeing the world through the eyes of a child, but I forget sometimes. So thanks for the reminder of that, because you know, it is a really like magically wonderful place when you can look at everything and say, ooh, ah. I've never seen it quite like this before. I have new eyes today. So maybe that'll be kind of what I walk away from this episode with, is the intention to every day wake up with fresh eyes, right? Wake up with that sense of wonder and move about the day no matter what's happening from that space of wonder, and allow it to unfold. Like I wrote down this sticky note last week. Was it last week? I don't know. Whenever it was. Not too long ago. That the only problem that I'm actually having right now is that I keep expecting all this stuff to be easy. What if I surrendered that and allowed it to just be the messy mix of whatever it is and unfold in its own time? It's a lot for a sticky note, but it fit. And and like holding that space of wonder provides the space to allow things to just unfold as they unfold and be totally neutral about it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Thanks.
Of course. All right.
All right, your turn.
I'm going to pick a card I shuffled. Here we go.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Interesting. No.
Oh,
Just
okay.
support, information.
Okay.
Let me pick up Luna. Hi, come here. Come here, little one. Oh, Simba. Hi. I got Fourth Ray of Harmony.
Oh, interesting.
Now, you know a lot about the rays. Do you have any context here?
Maybe, but I want to hear what you have to say first.
What I have to say about it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, looking at it, I don't know if you can see it well. Looking at, to me, there's two things that stand out right away, which is like, one, this man's chest is opening up to a doorway, and then above the doorway is infinity, and it reminds me of like a doorway to the upper room, a doorway to the kingdom, and it's just opening up in his chest while his forehead is emitting this immense powerful light. And there's this garden and this walkway, which kind of relates to some of the recent teachings we've got, and it feels, upon looking at it, like the movement to alignment in being.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
What do you know?
So in esoteric healing, Ray 4 is the ray of beauty or harmony, and what that means is harmony through conflict. And interestingly, that's actually my predominant ray, which made me giggle a little bit when you pulled that up, because it's a reminder that, you know, with this ray energy, like, it is a delightful ray, and it's not always without challenges. And so, but through the harmony that comes through the conflict enables that opening, like you're talking about, right? Like it enables that heart opening. It enables the we'll call it the clear transmission of higher frequencies. And so, to me, that ray is like kind of a reminder that sometimes, and I think the guides talk about this, like, it's not always a super fun time, but, like, sometimes those challenges that we face are like a beautiful catalyst for the stepping into the truth of who and what we are, and being in resonance with our true frequency. And so, when I think about like all of the healers I know and all of the channels that I know, and like all of those kind of people, they've definitely not had the easiest paths. Like they have achieved harmony through conflict. And not saying that everyone is a Ray 4 energy, because I don't think they are. But it's fascinating that is like part of the journey for people. So I know, like, a little different than I think the card is intending. But if, like, for anybody who's interested in learning about the 7 rays, even though there are more than 7, anyway, it's a book channeled by Alice Bailey, and like I think she channeled like the early 1900s. I can't remember if it was like the 1919 to like 39 or like 39 to 50s. I don't remember the timeline, but the book itself is called A Treatise on the 7 Rays. And all of the esoteric healing stuff, the esoteric psychology that was actually channeled it was channeled by Alice, and it was from the Tibetan Dwa Kul. So, anyway, they're like 24 volumes. It's very dense reading, but that's where the ray information comes from. So I'm curious, what does the book say about it?
So it says, Fourth Ray of Harmony comes to you now with the qualities of beauty, harmony, and balance. It empowers you to complete a spiritual initiation. Any conflict you experience now serves your divine purpose. It will eventually become the fuel you need to be born anew. Something negative will be transformed to something positive. When the fourth ray of harmony is active in your life, you are approaching spiritual initiation, which creates a whole new person, a new you. Initiation may begin with feeling torn or between two choices or realities. You may wonder if you have what it takes to get through this. You do. As you discover your strength to be patient with this process, rather than trying to force an outcome prematurely, Eventually, you will outgrow the conflict altogether, emerging wiser, more powerful you. You've gained a positive outcome from what was once considered to be a negative situation. When the fourth ray of harmony becomes stronger in your soul, avoid becoming scattered, out of balance, or swinging from one extreme to other. You will need to keep grounding yourself rather than all or nothing in your life choices. The challenge and the gift with the fourth ray of harmony is the increased sensitivity to beauty it engenders. Music takes on a whole new emotional depth, the beauty or chaos in your environment. Even the colors you wear have more impact on you than usual. You can use this increased sensitivity to your advantage by choosing art, music, and colors that feel good to you. In mainstream, it is still operating in a fear-based energy. With increased sensitivity, you can be at times more affected by this. If you experienced negativity, depression, doubt, this is likely why. You can overcome this without shutting down. When you sense it is happening, respond with loving discipline. This ray has a special connection to the arts and the guides you create. You are encouraged to trust your own creativity, enjoy it, and use it to help yourself and others. When Archangel Gabriel enters your life, there will be an emphasis on the use of sound for healing and balance, so the words you use, affirmations for example, will be very powerful. So will music. You may use sound to help balance and restore your energy. You know when it has worked because you will feel happier, find life simpler.
That's interesting. And that really feels like in alignment, right? Like they addressed the through conflict part, which I appreciate. They didn't like spiritually bypass it.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. Huh. So, and you know, the whole initiation thing, that feels spot on for like everyone I'm encountering right now. Because I was joking earlier, like, do people go in retrograde? Because that's how I felt earlier today. Like, retrograde. But I'm not the only one. You know, like a lot of people are feeling similarly to that. And I feel like that both the card that I pulled and the card that you pulled are very supportive of those kind of feelings. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Or feelings?
I think, I mean, in terms of conflict, I think it relates to like the breakup and, you know, that or the, not conflict necessarily, but negative situation, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And like the moving through that and how it will change me and I will change the experience of it. Because it is a very, you know, heart-centered experience in many ways. And I think the moving through it and, you know, aligning it to the higher will be a, you know, powerful experience and something I'm still, you know, moving through and with. And, but yeah, I think it's an interesting card for sure.
Yeah. My interest is like totally peaked in that deck again. I'm like, did I just never open it? Like, what? Sounds like I would love that deck. Do I need another deck? Probably not. Do I want one? Absolutely.
I know, I haven't been to
Which
like
version
a
of me?
spiritual store in a minute, and I'm like itching. I'm like, what do I need? Do I need something? Rocks?
Right?
Cards? This, that? I'm like, no, you don't need anything. You're fine.
Yeah. You know what might be fun though? This might be fun for when we all catch up in Italy. Like everybody I think we did this before, but everybody brings something that you're like ready to part with, and then do like a metaphysical funsy swapsies, you know?
That would be fun.
Oh, you know what? We did that at my retreat. That's right. That's where we did that. Okay. But I think that'd be super fun with our group of friends too. Is like, all right, you have stuff that you've like, you know, you're ready to put back out into the world. And then it's like leave a penny, take a penny, but with like card decks and crystals and that kind of fun stuff.
Yeah, I like that. That's fun.
Ooh, that could be fun to do like every time we get together. Ooh, I love this idea. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, 'cause it's only a couple times a year. Let's be real.
That'd be fun.
So, how fun. You know, I have to say, thanks. I really, I didn't want to record today, and I'm glad that we did, because it was exactly what I needed, which is why I wasn't like, let's do it some other time. And I feel like it's, you know, I don't want to cancel last minute. I don't like it when people do that to me. So whether that's personality body or what, I don't do it. But I'm glad that we did this, and I appreciate it. And I definitely feel like a huge shift in my energy, and I'm back into the space of appreciating the magic of everything that's unfolding, even though it feels like there are like 4,000 steps required for everything that I need to get done. Maybe I'm learning patience. So, anything you want to add to that?
Well.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. Do we want to at all tease the future?
The project?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we should. Do you want to talk about it, or do you want me to talk about it?
I'll do it, I guess. Me and
Okay.
Carly are collaborating on a group project in the future that will be open to all attendees, and it will have a level of energetic work, it will have a level of channeling, and it will have a level of just downright fun. So we're looking at April for the timeline for that. So stay tuned to the podcast. You can always check out Carly's website in the future in April for that. That's in the comments, in the show notes. And so, yeah, this is a really awesome opportunity for us to interact with you all and all of our friends and family and future friends and family, and really host an event that we're really excited about. Did I miss anything?
Yeah. Well, I don't know that you missed anything. Maybe just a little, like another way to talk about it is what we're doing is evening kind of workshops, you could call it. I don't know if workshop is the right word, but we're doing gatherings on Zoom where Tom and I are bringing in our whatever it is that we do. I will be doing group energy work, and he'll be doing like channeled lectures and then Q&A sessions. And we're shooting for about an hour and a half long. And they are open to anyone who feels called to them. And I say them because I have a feeling we're going to do it more than once. I have a feeling that we're going to get in here and start really enjoying doing these, and we'll be, and maybe we'll see, offering these on a pretty regular basis. So we definitely want to make sure that we stay connected, and we'll make sure that we put upcoming events up on the website. And yeah, we invite you if it feels like a good fit for you, and we're excited to be kind of doing this together because it's interesting the whisperings we've both been getting together and separately, and how they've kind of come together in this collaborative experience. You know, when I was in Peru, I very much heard that it's time to start doing group energy work, and then Tom was like, "So I've been thinking," and I was like, "Yep, me too. It's time. Let's do it." So here we go. And as always, if you love the podcast, or even if you like it, subscribe it, share it, all that kind of stuff. Yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So, did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
All right. Well, thanks, Tom.
Yeah, it's been a blast. Bye, everyone.
As always. Thanks, you guys. We'll talk to you next time.